Hey, what's going on, fiends? So, I typically try to stay away from stuff like the article I'm about to read and also discuss because I like to keep things on the channel upbeat and positive. Sometimes I get some news that's like a bummer, but that's like trivial stuff, you know, a delayed movie or TV series, or it being bad at a bad review. That's all trivial crap. Really, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't mean anything. But this story that I'm about to go over, I'm kind of torn about because, one, my fandom for this person and people from my generation grew up when this person was at the pinnacle of their stardom, popularity, and even today this person is now a pop culture icon, and is going through a very, very difficult time in their life. But the other part of me is like mad at this person because they've been given chance after chance after chance, and they just keep falling back into the same trap, and it's never their fault, it's everybody else's fault. And I get it, it's addict mentality. I've dealt with it in my family, and I'm not going to get too personal with it because those people in my family are now doing great and have gotten their lives back together, and it did take a lot of hard work, a lot of suffering, a lot of arguments, a lot of bad times, but there was that silver lining on the other side. But this person I'm talking about is Bam Margera, and growing up, I loved Jackass. It kind of was the definition of my generation in the 90s. The we didn't give a fuck mentality, and they just acted on it more than we did. But then his show Viva La Bam, which I loved and never missed an episode of. And now, you know, since the death of Ryan Dunn, I have watched this person who had everything, and I mean everything, laid before their feet. And maybe that's the problem, that everything was given without any responsibility. And sometimes that's the case. But this person, since Ryan Dunn's passing, and even before Ryan Dunn, all of those guys pretty much had drug and alcohol issues. Steve-O's even said so in his podcast. And Steve-O's now clean and sober and doing fantastic, man. And when I used to watch Jackass, we all of us, me and my friends, you know, we used to constantly say that we thought Steve-O was going to be the first casualty, you know. And thankfully, it didn't turn out that way because Steve-O was my fave. And I'm glad to see him. He's doing better and he's got his life straight. And that's the thing. If he can do it with as much shit as he went through and as far gone as a lot of people thought he was, if he can do it, then why can't this person? And I get every addict, every addict's story is different, and every addict's fight is different. But the end goals for all of them is the same: to get sober, to put their life together, to have a future, not to always constantly use the hurt of their past as a sympathy card to have people feel sorry for them for the fact of where they're at and why they're going through what they're going through. Because here's the thing. I try not to put my personal life out there too much, but when I was 10 years old, my mom and my stepdad got married, and I stayed at my grandparents' because, of course, my mom and my stepdad were going to go on their honeymoon. And I went to bed that night, getting a hug from my new stepfather and getting a kiss from my mother. And that would be the last hug and last kiss I would ever get. Because the next day, I woke up to a house full of people bringing food and crying and all this other stuff. And at 10 years old, I didn't know what in the hell was going on. I had no clue. I was just like, what, because I'm like, dude, we just had a wedding last night. Everybody was happy and laughing and joking, and and it was just joy abound. And now today it's sadness and just the complete opposite. And for a 10-year-old boy, I could not process what was going on. And plus, too, nobody was telling me. But I kept having people come up to me and hug me and, or like consoling me for something that I wasn't even aware of what was going on. And then finally my uncle comes and takes me into my room and proceeds to tell me that my mom and my stepdad didn't make it to their honeymoon. Now, you might think I'm making this shit up, and I couldn't blame you for thinking that, because it does sound like something you would see on Lifetime television, like a really bad movie. And God knows I wish it was. But it was the truth. I went to bed that night with a new family, and my life was going to be amazing and awesome. And I woke up the next morning, and it was all snatched away from me. And from that point on, I went from being a A-B student in school to being barely passing classes, barely caring. When I got into high school, I started experimenting with drugs and alcohol. I lied to people. I used people. I cheated people. I hurt people. But as I got older, and especially when my son, my firstborn, was going to come along, I had to take a look in the mirror and ask myself, did I want him to pay for my sins? Did I want him to have to be raised by a father who was living like that? Did I want that to be the example? And it was from there I changed. I quit everything, walked away from all of it, joined the military, got my life in order. But, so is life. Me and his mother divorced. Is what it is. But it did change the fact that I did my best to make myself better. Now, if I can do that, then anybody else can. And I get there's going to be people out there that are going to see this and they're going to be like, well, you weren't doing heroin and crack and pills and all that stuff. No, wasn't. I was just, my two drugs were speed and marijuana. And for those that don't know what speed is, just in case you grew up under the stairs, it was basically like a pill form of cocaine. It's basically what it was. And that was my go-tos, the upper and the downer. And I'm 47 years old, and still to this day, there are people out there in this world that still have not forgiven me for who I was. And it's going to be that. And also, there's people out there still to this day that when I gave up who I was then, stopped being my friend. And you're going to find that out if you're living that way who your friends are and who they aren't. So when I see this article, to get back to Bam, I don't necessarily see myself in him, because I don't, because we're two completely different people. He's been places and done things that I've never done, and everybody's heartaches and triumphs are different. And but there's a kid involved in all this, and that's what really pisses me off. And there's so many people, because I've read the article already, and then I've been on social media and looked, and there's so many people that are defending him, and it's cool, you know, defend him, but at the same time, are you defending him because you're fanning out, fanboying, whatever you want to call it, or are you defending him because you think he's in the right and everyone else is in the wrong? It takes two to make something go good, and it takes two to make something go bad. And he's not completely 100% to blame for all of this. He really isn't. But at the same time, he is to blame for not wanting to be better. Not just for himself, but for his kid, who in this article he's saying that, you know, if he doesn't get to see his kid, from what I've read on social media, don't know if it's true. Maybe this is just hearsay, but supposedly on social media he's saying that if he doesn't get his kid, he's going to smoke crack until he just passes away. It's a good idea, Bam. It's probably the best one you've ever had. And that's the thing. I doubt you'll ever see this video, but from one man to another, you got to quit fucking living on excuses there, buddy. Because excuses are like assholes, and everybody's got one. It's an old saying my grandfather used to say, and it's very much true. But anyway, I got this article from TMZ, so, you know, TMZ, with most of their crap, you know, take it with a grain of salt. But let's pull it up and have a look-see. It says, Bam Margera, family desperate to find him, say time is running out. Update at 10:26 a.m. Pacific time. Bam Margera's attorney, Peter Thompson, tells TMZ that Bam came to Los Angeles before going off the radar in an attempt to reunite with his son, whom we are told he hasn't seen in 2 months, without any contact whatsoever. We're already aware Bam has desperately wanted to touch base with his kid, and that he's claimed his estranged wife, Nikki, isn't letting that happen. But now Thompson says the separation may have driven Bam to force a meeting in person. Of course, we know Nikki doesn't want that right now, at least not without Bam entering some kind of rehab program. Thompson says he isn't sure if Bam is in one or planning to enter one anytime soon. However, he does say he thinks a FaceTime call at the very least would go a long way in putting Bam's mind at ease. He says he was last in contact with him yesterday, and he's going to try reaching out again to see where he might be. Bam Margera's family seem to be fearing the worst, and his brother is putting out a Twitter APB to find him before he can harm himself. Jess Margera, who you may know from the band CKY, tweeted early Sunday morning, if anyone in the LA area knows of Bam's current whereabouts or a hotel he might be at, please call the LAPD immediately. Also in the tweet he put, I am trying to get them to ping his phone, but as usual it's a whole huge process, and I don't think we have the kind of time. If you guys could all retweet this, that would be really cool of you. Thanks for your help. It says, as we reported, the former Jackass star had a total meltdown 3 days ago over not being able to see his son, Phoenix, amid his divorce from Nikki, and vowed to smoke crack until he dies. One clue to Bam's current whereabouts came in a video TMZ obtained and posted on Saturday. In the clip, Bam is hanging with some random folks at a Pennsylvania bar and grill. Witnesses say he told them he was getting ready to fly to LA to check into rehab. Jess clearly believes Bam did not get on a plane to LA, but he's not buying the rehab part either. Nikki should let Bam at least get a FaceTime call. I do agree with the attorney on that one. You know, I don't think he should be lit around the kid person to person. Not in the state that he's in. Not at all. But it would be cool of her to just be like, okay, we'll do a FaceTime. At least do that much. Because at least on a FaceTime, if things get, sideways, you can hang it up, right? A little bit harder when it's person to person. But I know what it's like to be kept away from your kid. Been there, done that, got the t-shirt. But I wasn't kept away from my kid for this kind of stuff. I was kept away from my kid because sometimes when mommies and daddies divorce, the kids end up being used as ammunition in the war. It's just a sad part of it. But I don't know, man. At some point, we all got to cast our fandom for Bam aside and being real with him, and all of us just reaching out and being like, get help, bro, because I don't know. I'm just lost for words, man, because I hear all these celebrities that have these hang-ups and addictions. You're always, oh, well, they're in rehab. Oh, well, they're in rehab. Oh, well, they're in rehab. Well, fuck, you can go to rehab. Anybody can go to rehab. But are you going to put in the work and actually mean it? Or are you just doing it for PR? I don't know. This is just a bunch of shit. And it's getting old. I mean, hell, even Bam's friends are starting to be like, whatever. That's sad when people like that love him are just getting to the point where they're just fed up. And using this whole I lost my best friend shit, hey, I've lost a lot of friends too. But I'm not out there sticking a vein, snorting a rail, and throwing my whole life away. I don't know. You guys down here in the comments, let me know what you think. If you totally agree with me, if you disagree with me, whatever. I, open to all of it. Hate to. But, just wanted to touch on this because this one kind of hit me in the feels a little bit. But anyway, guys, I'm going to get on out of here. And as always, this has been your old buddy John. And I'll see you again next time. Ooh.